You said yesterday that you would meet later with your coaches, quarterbacks. Any update on quarterback?
The biggest update, more so than anything else, is Carson has been cleared to start throwing. We haven't designated him for return yet to practice. He was working on the side. Actually, he's working down on the field with the training staff today. But, again, he wasn't designated for return, so we will start Taylor this week.
Okay. And then Cole Holcomb, kind of where is he at in the recovery process?
He was on the field. They had him outside on the grass, running on the grass today. We'll see how he responds. Because of the short turnaround, today was a walkthrough practice for the most part. Try and give our guys a little extra time. It was an opportunity for the coaches to dive into the first and second down practice day typically, which is what our Wednesday is. So we were able to cover that part of it in a walkthrough fashion. Tomorrow we'll go helmets and shells and get the guys out on the field and get them running around a little bit more.
Ron, I have a kind of a random one for you. There's a song that's becoming popular in the fan base. It's like Left Hand Up, Who Are We, the Commanders. Have you heard that at all? Okay.
No, I really haven't.
Yeah. That's all good. With Jack Del Rio, what have you seen from him, especially in the last 5 or so weeks? What do you think is allowing the defense to play so well?
I think what's been interesting is really, not just what Jack and the defensive staff have come up, but the way they've been using the different personnel groupings. And then with the injury to Cole, some of the creative ideas they've come up with and how they've used the different players. I mean, one of the things that, we've talked about a lot has been positional flex. And when you have guys that can play, whether it's safety and then come down the box and play the buffalo, or a corner that come and play the nickel, a defensive end that can play like a stand-up will linebacker in a 3-4, they've gotten creative with their guys, and that's been very impressive. When I sit in the meetings, listen to some of the things they talk about, I can see it just from my background, but I can see it because I see what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish with the guys. The thing that allows you to do it, too, is a lot of these guys are getting what we're expecting from them, asking of them. You can see that they've really grown and understood the whole idea behind the game planning that we do now. And it's one of those things that's about growth, and a lot of guys have really grown well. A lot of our young players are getting opportunities to play and showcase themselves. You look at some of the guys on the D-line that contributed. I mean, the natural ones, we see Jonathan Duran and Montez, but when you start seeing, what JR has been doing for us, as one of our defensive tackles, and you watch Casey get an opportunity to go out and do some things, and the growth by Jamin, Benjamin, and then Defoe and Cam. I mean, it's a good, solid, young group of guys that have really taken the next step. But in watching Jack too, it's like his confidence level in the players enough that he can do these things, and he's willing to put these guys in even tougher positions because I think he's very comfortable, very confident in the players we have.
Are there plays or moments that stand out to you where that confidence and trust really shows up?
Oh, the play on the goal line against Indianapolis. He called a specific call for Jamin, and Jamin, went downhill, went through the crease, and made the play. I mean, that was a confidence play. There's a couple of coverage things that he's done, just knowing that, hey, we can put ourselves in a really good position, so we'll call this coverage, knowing that it's something that he trusts the guys to do. So you really do see it with him.
What makes Terry such a threat on slants?
First of all, he's a lot more stout, I think, than people realize. He's got a stout toughness about him. His hand. He grabs the ball. He doesn't wait for the ball. He's trying to catch it out here and pulling it in with real strong hands. And then he's got this acceleration that if he splits it, he can go. And you see it with him. You see it with Curtis. Maybe it's an Ohio State thing or something. But those guys, when they run those quick darts or slants, they have a knack for squeezing through and popping through and making big plays out of it.
With Carson, is there a possibility that he could be the backup Sunday if he's cleared in time?
We'll see how it goes.
Okay.
But again, the one thing is, you want to get him. If that's going to be the case, you want him to get back and be the backup. He's got to get prepared and get ready for it. So, as of right now, we'll listen to what the trainers tell me tonight or tomorrow.
So, this isn't necessarily your I told the team decision that this like you're
Right.
just kind of punting it another
Right.
week.
To your question, yes.
Yeah.
That's not yet.
Okay. And then I just have another random one for you. Small, like you look at what Davis Mills did last season for the Texans, those last 6 games. As a coach, is there a danger in overreading that sample size? Not necessarily to him, but in general, like late in
Yeah.
the season like that?
There is. I mean, you got to look at the scheduling, look at who they're playing, stuff like that. But I'll be honest, I like who Davis Mills was. I mean, got a chance to watch him on tape, watched him last year on tape as well. We watched him when he was coming out, and when I was in Carolina, and he was a guy that I thought had some skill sets that are really good, very smart, savvy football player. For the most part, I think makes good decisions. They're just a young team. They're still growing and developing, and having worked with Coach Smith and knowing what he's expecting, I think Davis is learning and growing along the lines. They want to be a physical running team, live off the play action, and play stout defense. And that's kind of, I think, a little bit. I know it's very simplified, but having been around Coach, that's kind of what we did in Chicago back in 2004, 5, and 6.
A lot of people have said that Derek has his knowledge has really taken a step forward this year. Are there some areas where that is more apparent than others?
I think with Defoe, you watch how he handles the adjustments in practice, and then you see him take it and put it on the field. To answer your question, yeah, you've seen him take that step forward on the mental aspect of the game. He's a very bright young man. He's very eager. He practices the right way. Some guys say, "Oh yeah, I got it." No, he wants to see it and walk through. If he's wrong, he wants to see it again. He asks a lot of good questions. So you see why his growth has been good, because he's very conscientious about those things. And you see it in his play, understanding how we play match technique, how we play another technique that we use in some of our other coverages. I mean, they're not necessarily overly advanced and complicated, but yet they still require you to think on the run, and he's been able to handle that pretty good. One of the things that you see, I was asked a great question today. I got about the play he made on the on the caused fumble. Because of his alignment, he's reading the releases of 1 and 2 to his side, 2 drags underneath, which it tells him, hey, I got to launch now to get vertical, which you see him do. He barely misses making the play on the ball, but yet because of his great effort and hustle, and the same thing with Benjamin, we were able to get the fumble recovery that was caused by Benjamin. But that was an example that, he's got to do something on the fly. He sees it happen, and bam, his instincts take over, and he makes the break that he's supposed to.
Ron, how much of sort of like a sense of relief is this, where you could be in a worse situation where you're trying to get your starting quarterback back because maybe the team was struggling, but knowing that what you're going to get out of Taylor Heineke and you guys are winning?
Yeah, we have time. I mean, that's the really good thing that is on our side. I mean, he's done some good things, and we'll see how it happens this week. But to me, it's part of having to make a decision. I mean, you got to be realistic. You got to watch and you got to see, and that's what we've been doing. We've been paying attention to it. We've been paying attention not just an individual as much as it affects a unit and a team. And so, having this situation is a pretty good one. It's a good problem to have.
I would imagine Sam Howell's gotten some extra reps as a result of all this. So how's he grown over this 4-week period? Anything you've seen from him?
Yeah, he's done a good job. He really has. One of the things that we talked to him about more so than anything else was, there are certain technique things he's got to improve on, footwork being one of them. You watch some of the stuff from training camp, and you see a little bit of lazy footwork, and he probably was able to get away with that in the college ranks, but in our being up in our level, you got to understand just how important it is. You've got to stick to going through your techniques, doing the things the right way every time. I mean, this is a little bit different. The expectations, the intensity level, what's required of you, I think those stakes are higher.
Certainly, Taylor Heineke's brought a lot of positives. What do you want to see him get better at? What do you want to see him improve on as we go forward, especially maybe on Sunday?
Well, I think you'd like to continue to see the consistency in what he's doing and how he's doing things. I think you want to see him continue to take what's there. At times he does have a tendency to want to try and force it in certain places. But he's done a good job. He really has, and the guys have rallied around him.
Will Chase Young play on Sunday?
That we'll find out. Today we were inside. He had an opportunity to go through all the stuff they were supposed to, but the real indicator will be how he does on Thursday and Friday.
If he does play, and when he does play, do you see him a full complement of snaps, or is this going to be maybe third down, just
it'll
go
be
get?
A pitch count. It'll be a pitch count, and something we'll have to monitor closely again, because big part of it is, especially right now, is you want to get as close as you can to live action, and you really can't. So we have to try and figure out how he can get as many good reps in these next couple of days to get a good gauge as to where he is.
Brian Robinson, the idea of adding a running back like that in the first place seemed to be evident with what you guys did in this last game. Is that for you, however far back it was, to think about a guy like that for this offense? Is that kind of played out the way?
Well, and it's one of the things that I talked about when we made the pick. I was part of a 2 running back system, my first go around in Carolina, and we had 2 quality guys in Carolina with those running backs. I mean, D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart is what I see here. I mean, I think we got 2 guys that fit the description. We got a big, physical, powerful guy, and then we got an elusive guy that's got great hands, and that's what to me I think you need is some sort of 2-back system, and then you have your third guy that's a little bit of a change of pace, and so we feel pretty good about that room right now. We really do.
Brian told us the other day that he was realistically probably not all the way back to physically where he was before the incident. What do you see of him right now compared to the guy you saw in preseason, and what's sort of the next step for him?
Well, I just think it's now for him is continuing to work himself back into form. I mean, it's been a while, but since we've activated him, and he's just starting, I think, to come into his own. He's starting to get a good feel. I think the great thing or the crazy part about what happened was in this past game, he had, I believe it was 6 carries that were 3rd and 1, and one was I think it was a 2nd or 3rd and 1 on goal line. And so his average didn't look as good as it could have been. But, still he carried the ball, 27 times or something like that, which is very impressive. It really was.
Last one, John. When you're looking at rushing stats, you got yards per carry per game, total number of times. What do you look at first and foremost to know if the running game's working the way you want it?
I think really is you look at the third downs and how many 3rd and 4 or lesses you end up with. We had a couple of things, and I showed the players these clips today, was where we went first down, second down, third down, we went run. And that was what was impressive. We even attempted a 3rd down, 3rd and 4, but that's how confident we were. I think we went incomplete on the first down, but then we ran the ball the next 2 times to get the first down. And that's when you really feel like the game, the running game is really clicking.
And then when you get Cosby back whenever, you got Bates and Logan kind of rounding back into it, how much can all that help continue the momentum with the run game?
Well, I think what Cornelius Lucas has done has been very stout for the most part. I do understand Sam is a little different player, and I think having those 2 tight ends round back into shape would be really good for us. I do see your point because Sam is a little bit lower to the ground, has a little bit better leverage. He does get a little bit more movement, and having guys like that out there really does help resonate with the running game. There were a couple of things that we did really well on Monday night that when you watch the run, you get a chance to really break the tape down. There's some real good positives.
All right, thanks, Coach. We got Taylor's going to be next, but there's no evening meetings, so anyone who wants to grab players should probably head over to watch them.
Okay.
With Carson, what is the timetable for it?
Oh,
Like, it's
that's
designated
beyond me. You got. Oh, designated back.
Yeah.
I think we've got a few more days.